Rambam Mesivta.
Rishus, honored friends, family, distinguished guests, Uncle Eli, Grandpa Bob, the Rosh Mesivta Rabbi Friedman, and our 9 principals, Mr. Schechter,
Rabbi Har,
Rabbi Radanski,
Rabbi Beitler, Mr. Phil, Rabbi Shmuel Landesman, Naomi,
and last but not least,
Sydney.
welcome to the Rambam Mesivta 4th Annual Commencement Exercise. What are you talking to? Well, anyway, I'm Dov Sassoon.
And I'm Moshe Greenberg, and we'll be your I'm Dov Sassoon.
And I'm Moshe Greenberg, and we'll be your MCs for tonight.
Well, tonight?
Yeah, tonight's our graduation.
Oh, so then why don't we go over some of the things that happened in the past 4 years?
Yeah, like that time we had problems with the doors of the homework in 9th grade.
Yeah. There was also a time when we were taking our Hebrew final. It started to smell really badly in the class. A couple people got suspended. I don't really know what happened, but there was a time when Jake and Jake
Alright,
came
let's
back.
not mention
There was also a time when 2 unnamed individuals came back to tradition with white bags. They got caught and got
Alright,
suspended.
you remember that pre-freshman barbecue that we had? That's pretty good.
Wasn't there. What about the time this year we tied the hockey championship? I never heard of that. We tied.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, though. We didn't tie it. We actually lost that.
Well, what are you talking about? I left. There was 12 seconds left. I left the game. The score was tied. I figured that out.
That's maybe so, but with 11 seconds left, Alan Singer scored for after and eight.
Well, we won softball.
Actually, we lost that too.
What do you mean? I saw easy pop fly, nice standing block, nice Josh done. Pop fly. I left. I figured you'd catch it. They went.
Well, no, you didn't catch it, and we lost. See any good movie lately?
Waterboy 5 times and see a trip.
I wasn't there. But I was there when we went to go see Life is Beautiful with Rabbi Radanski. Remember that?
That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was a good movie, but it really wasn't realistic.
No, wait.
Let's
Let's just stick to the topic there.
Why? That's still one of the things you wanted.
Why don't we introduce the national anthems? Can we read that?
Fine, let's get started. And now, please put your hands together and give a great big Rambam welcome to Miami Boys Choir's Dove Snow singing the Star Spangled Banner. This evening also, Miami Boys Choir's Dove Snow. Everybody please rise. Up. So that was beautiful. That was really beautiful. We'll be saying that we know him one.
Definitely. Now we'd like to call upon a man from whom we've learned so much from during our 4 years at Rambam and a great role model for all of us.
Mr. Schneider.
No. I'm talking about our Rosh Mesivta of Zev Meir Friedman.
Okay, thank you, Phil. In the upcoming parsha, we read that Bnei Yisrael complained to Moshe and about Moshe and to Hashem. It says, "Vaydaber ha'am be'elokim u'b'Moshe." The people complained about Hashem and Moshe, and they said, "Lama halisunu miMitzrayim, lamas b'midbar." Why'd you take us out of the wonderful land of Egypt to die in the desert? Meaning, lechem ve'in mayim. There's no bread, there's no water. And Hashem kotza b'lechem ha'klokel. And we're sort of say sick and tired of this bread that is mekulkol, so to say, that's problematic. What happens? So Hashem punishes the people with poisonous snakes, and it bit the people. Many Jews died. So what are the lessons we can derive from this little historical event that transpired to Bnei Israel? First, I think, of course, is it doesn't pay to complain. But if you look at the nature of the complaint of Klal Yisrael, I think it's very fascinating. Because the nature of the complaint is they're complaining about the lechem ha'klokel. Rashi points out, and the Mepharshim point out, why was it called lechem ha'klokel? Because it didn't follow the normal track of digestion. Basically, nothing was left over from it. It was absorbed totally in the body. In the Evarim, some even say gematria is Reish Mem Ches, from Reish Mem Ches Evarim. It was completely absorbed in the body, which in and of itself, truthfully, seems very problematic. Because that would imply that it was really the perfect diet. Because everything we eat, we know, a certain amount of the food is absorbed in the body and is used as nutrition, and what we don't need, obviously, is excreted. The lechem ha'klokel that they deemed to be klokel was in fact really not kilkul at all, but rather really was something befitting to Klal Yisrael. So we see an interesting thing, that sometimes, unfortunately, people have a tendency to complain about things that have no basis for complaining. Perhaps, what led them to complain is alluded to in the previous pasuk, when the Klal Yisrael expected to go into Eretz Yisrael and they weren't able to do so. It says, "V'tikshar nefesh am b'dorech." The people got frustrated as a result of their journey, meaning to say that sometimes when a person doesn't get exactly what he wants, he becomes frustrated. And this, I think, is one of the lessons I want to share with our graduates. I think it's something that they're well aware of, and that is that a person shouldn't get frustrated when things don't go your way. And there's going to be many circumstances in life when things don't work out the way you want them to be. That does not necessarily mean to say it's a bad thing. Here too, Klal Yisrael expected the food to be digested and excreted in a certain way. It didn't happen. But the bottom line is it turned out to be for the good. And a person always has to look for the good in each and every situation. The next thing I think we see that I'd like to briefly focus on is how Klal Yisrael got cured. Many Jews died, and it says, many Jews died. Moshe, people complained to Moshe, and they asked him to pray for them. And then Hashem told Moshe, make a serpent, he put it on a high pole, and anyone who's bitten will look at it and live. Moshe made this serpent. He made it out of bronze. Nachash said it was a play on words to remind the people of the Egyptian Nachash. So he put it on this tall flagpole, if you will. They will just look at it and live. There's a change in the word that's used. Originally it says, they'll look at it, and here it says, Rashi picks up on the difference and says sometimes it requires simply looking, and sometimes it requires an intensive stare to bring about the refuah. What was the refuah? The refuah, I believe, is, Chazal many times says that the Yetzer Hara is represented by the Nachash. The Nachash is something that is sneaky, it's insidious, it just works on you at the last minute, it just lunges from behind and you're not aware of it, and it causes harm. So too the Yetzer Hara. Sometimes the person is unaware of what forces may be working on him, and then before he knows it, he's in the grips and the throes of the Yetzer Hara, is unable to extricate himself from it. The only way to deal with it effectively, Chazal are telling us, is to confront the Yetzer Hara, to be fully aware of the true person's motivations, and then a person can, in fact, seek to cure himself. Sometimes a person can do it just by glancing at it, but sometimes a person has to really spend intensive time and thinking about it. I think Chazal is saying, depending upon the nature of the Yetzer Hara, depending upon the person's entrenchment in Chet, that will be the requirement of the person to remove himself from the Chet. But what I think the lesson here is, and again, it's a lesson that's not lost on the graduates, it's something we've spoken about many times. The person has to have a sense of honesty, a sense of integrity, a sense of recognizing when he's wrong, and a willingness to correct himself. And that's exactly what the pasuk is alluding to, that the refuah, Yeshua came as a result of the people being willing to confront the Yetzer Hara, confront the problem, and correct it. The last lesson Rashi mentions is, of course, the famous Chazal that says, one should not think, is the nafash the thing that gives life and wreaks havoc? No. It's obviously tshuva. It's obviously a person's relationship to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Which means to say it's very simple for a person to look at the story superficially, or look at something superficially and say, you know what caused the harm? The nafash. What brought about the refuah? The nafash. The idea obviously is much deeper than that. We don't believe in superficialities in the Torah. A person's spiritual level is based upon an internalization of the Torah values, meaning to say, it's not enough to do the mitzvahs. Of course, you have to, but more than that, hopefully it's more than just the Maisa Mitzvah. The Maisa Mitzvah must be associated with a key and belay, with an internalization of the beauty of the Torah way of life. Now, I think about this group of graduates, and each group is different, and each group is very difficult to part with. I think that all three of these things are really the models of how this group has been over the past 4 years. I think there's a true sense of reality in terms of not getting frustrated when things don't go exactly the way you want them to go. That's a very, very important yesod, an important way to go through life. And yes, there were ups and downs over the past 4 years, and there will be ups and downs over the next many years as you go through life. But I think you all have the proper hashkaf, the proper attitude, and that is to deal with the downs, as they say, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, and really make the best of each and every situation. I think also the group has a very, very strong sense of integrity, recognizing that an error is really an opportunity for growth, and you really have lived that way, and Baruch Hashem, rather than hide and duck a situation, really use that situation to continue to improve yourself. And I think last but not least is a true appreciation of the analytical, conceptual, looking beneath the surface, not just looking at things superficially, saying, oh, that happened because the snake has magical powers. Rather, it happened because of a recognition of what the people did wrong and the process of tshuva. And this process of iyun, of diktuk, of understanding, is really the whole approach that we've had the past 4 years, and it's the approach I think you guys have really taken in very well, and Baruch Hashem has succeeded in living your lives that way. My bracha to the graduating class, to continue to build on the basis you have from your home, from the yeshiva, that you came in with the Torah mitzvahs and Eretz Yisrael in the years to come, and really be a source of nachas for your families and to all of Klal Yisrael. Thank you. I want to take this opportunity to thank all the wonderful Rabbeim, boys have had, Rabbeim, some of them who the boys have had in the past. I noticed joined us tonight, my background, Rabbi Kruger, among the other Rabbeim at Rambam, and the teachers, the administrators, all have had a hand in a very, very successful 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you for those words of inspiration.
Now, Levi, where are you? You know you've been waiting for this, 25 years now? Without any further ado, we'd like to call upon this evening's salutatorian coming all the way from Boston, Massachusetts, Levi Siegel.
Thanks a lot, guys. Vayomer lo hayekar. And God said to Adam, where are you? In 1798, Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi, the Balatanya, was imprisoned on the charge that his teachings undermined the imperial authority of the Tsar. For 52 days, he was held in the Peter Paul Fortress of Petersburg. Among Rabbi Shneur Zalman's interrogators was a government minister who possessed broad knowledge of the Bible and of Jewish studies. On one occasion, he asked the Rebbe to explain the pasuk, "Vayikra Hashem Elokeim ala Adam, Vayomer lo Hayekar." And God called out to Adam and said to him, "Where are you?" Did God not know where Adam was? Rabbi Shneur Zalman presented the classic explanation offered by the commentaries. The question, "Where are you?" was merely a conversation opener on the part of God, who did not wish to unnerve Adam by immediately confronting him with his wrongdoing. "What Rashi says I know," said the minister. "I wish to hear how the Rebbe understands the pasuk." "Where are you?" explained the Rebbe, "is God's perpetual call to every man. Where are you in the world? What have you accomplished? You have been allotted a certain number of days, hours, and minutes in which to fulfill your mission in life. You have lived so many years and so many days." Rabbi Shneur Zalman spelled out the exact age of the minister. "Where are you? What have you attained?" Our education at Rambam was not merely concerned with the transmission of information. It served the greater and more noble purpose of cultivating each student's moral character. We didn't simply learn math and science. We learned midos and hashkafa as well. Our Rebbeim didn't teach us Gemara and Halacha as subjects, but as a way of life, as a continuation of our Masorah. They taught us what it means to be a mensch, what it means to be a Torah Jew. It is with this combination of academics and values, instilled in us by Rambam Mesivta, that as we graduate and continue progressing in the path that has set us upon, we will, God willing, have an answer when God comes to us and asks, "Ayeka."
Thank you for those words of inspiration. And now, presenting this year's senior award. Wait a second. Oh, we're doing something. We're talking about, though, it says right here that the presentation of the senior awards are next.
No, Moshe, read between the lines. Thank you.
And now, delivering our co-salutatorian address, coming all the way from Holliswood, New York, Effie Nissenfeld.
Hold on. Maybe it's me, but I'm pretty familiar with the student handbook. And on page 13, paragraph 2, it states that once you've been suspended 3 times, you can no longer act as a student, as a class salutatorian.
That would be a problem. Actually, I'm pretty familiar with the Shulchan Aruch, and so in Kuf Lamed Hey Siv Vav, it brings down the case of a Yisrael that's called up for the first Aliyah, and at that point, a Kohen walks in. So the psak in that case is that the Yisrael gets the Aliyah. Okay, Mishnah Berurah explains why. He says, "Kidei shelo yisvayesh," that the guy that was already called up isn't embarrassed. So, since we already called you up so that you're not embarrassed, so it looks like we'll let you get away with it this time. So go ahead.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Honored rabbis, faculty, parents, guests, and fellow graduates. There are questions, and then there are questions. There are questions that some people ask as out of curiosity. They're very interested, they want to know the answers, so they ask a question. To that, a person will give an answer to their question, giving to their curiosity. But then there are questions that people ask, not because they want to know answers, because they want to criticize. They want to make fun of a certain person. And they don't really want to know the answer, they know the answer already. But they want to ask in order to criticize the person. To that, usually people give answers of, they ignore them, they try to push away the question, saying, what you're doing is not right. So there's a big uproar in the Kol and Bnei Yisrael. What's happening? There's a big rebellion. Korach is running around with his Adasso, making a rebellion against Moshe. Moshe obviously knows about this. What do? Rashi tells us that all the Kol and Korach come up to him with this huge, beautiful blue talus. And what do they say? Moshe, does this require tcheles? Does this require tcheles in the strands? So what does Moshe reply?
Moshe replies, yes, it does require tzitzis. But what were they asking? Did they really want to know the halacha? Obviously not. They were doing a rebellion. And they wanted Moshe to say yes, so what? They would say, ha, look at that, we have an entire talus that is blue, and he still wants blue strands. What does he want from us? So why didn't Moshe know that this was a trick? Didn't he know that they were going to make fun of him from that answer? Why did Moshe answer him like it was a regular question? So the Rav Zatzal wanted to give a very interesting answer. He explains that Moshe wasn't really giving an answer to their halachic question. He was really teaching them a lesson at the same time. He explains that when it comes to tzitzis, there are different ways of interpreting the white strands and the blue strands. He explains the white strands that they're very pure, they're very plain, which he says represents the regular person, the normal person. Then there are the blue strands, which we know, what are the blue strands supposed to remind us of? The Gemara says that it's supposed to remind us of the ocean, which then reminds us of the sky, which then reminds us of the Kisei HaKavod. So, and what's the common denominator with all of them? They're all very wide and vast, things that are hard to understand, hard to really understand through Seichel. And the blue strands on the talus represent these people who do understand it. It's very hard to understand, but the blue strands represent those who do understand it. Namely who? The Rebbe. So what's Korach doing? He's coming with this huge talus, and he really doesn't want to make fun of Moshe. He wants to teach everyone a lesson. What does he want to say? Here's this blue talus. See this? It's entirely blue. Why? Because really we're all our own Rebbe. We don't need Rebbe, and we don't need Moshe. What do we need Rebbe for? See, we were at our Sinai, we're on Kadosh, we're a holy nation. We can make our own socks. We can make our own halachas. So what does Moshe answer? He takes out and says, no, you still need the tchelas and you still need the white strands. Why? Because being a Rebbe isn't just about haskening halacha. It's about giving over Masorah as well. It's about giving a derech of Torah to go on the rest of one's life. It's about getting closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Moshe says that everyone can't do. Only certain Rebbeim can do. And that's why everybody needs a Rebbe. And he says that even with the entirely blue talus, you still need the tchelas strands. One out of the many strands, of the white strands, that one being the Rebbe. So, sorry. And this is ultimately what led to Korach's downfall, literally. If Korach would have been in the Rambam Mesivta, I think he wouldn't have made this mistake to begin with. Because if you look at the Rebbeim in the Rambam Mesivta, I believe that you see Rebbeim who really give over the Masorah, who make us B'nai Torah, who give us over a derech. They tell us exactly how we're supposed to live our lives with Torah, and they ultimately bring us closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But not only that, they do even more than that. They have a tremendous amount of sensitivity that whenever anybody has a problem, I felt very comfortable going over to any of the Rebbeim, even if they had absolutely no time. Usually I went over when they absolutely had no time. And they really sat you down. They always went through any problems that you had, and they really showed this tremendous amount of sensitivity. They also built a tremendous kesher with the guys, a tremendous connection with the guys by really sitting them down, which made us even more comfortable and really helped us in the long run. They also had their famous yearly barbecues, or as some Rebbeim called it, the Q's. They also had Shabbatons and tishes all the time. They really made an effort to really have a tremendous kesher with us, which they did. And even though we might have not been so good all the time, we owe a tremendous amount of hakaras hatov to all the Rebbeim for everything that they did, giving over the Masorah, teaching us how to live derech of lives with Torah, as well as getting us close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, while showing us sensitivity, as well as building a tremendous kesher, which we will cherish forever. And to us, we should take this that the Rebbeim have given us, and we should really develop it, and even get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so that we will no longer be considered the white strands on the talus, but the blue strands like our Rebbeim.
Any more studentatorians?
No? All right. Anyway, as I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted before. Next up are the presentation of the senior awards. So I'd like to call upon Rabbi Friedman, our chief principal, Mr. Jay Scheffler, and our director of student activities,
Dean of Discipline,
great advisor,
Rebbe,
and podiatrist extraordinaire, Dr. Avi Har.
A lot of difficult choices because by and large all the guys are deserving of awards, but we have to make some tough choices, so hopefully the sparm that we give out will be shared by the entire class. The first award is presented for Gemara B'Iyun for excellence in conceptual analysis and study of Gemara, and it goes to Ryan Malakoff. And Arya Dean said it. Excellence in Kiyas, mastering the breadth and skills of study of Gemara, and it goes to Yerachmiel Rosenblatt. Sefer saying Yoni Halacha, Yoni Shabbos U'Moadim by Rabbi Yitzchak Mercer. The first statement for Ian appropriately was the Sfarm, one of this set of the Sfarm, by the Rav Zatzal, Shir Moseicha Avamari, which is a compilation of some of the Shir of Rav Salvation, The next award is for, again, difficult to choose, for Halacha, excellence in Halacha. Dafka, there was one young man, everyone has been adopting in Halacha, but everyone would come and make sure his shul was set up. And it's very, very much in various areas of Halacha that goes to Eli Gandra. The Sefer is Tefillah Kehilchos. The next is for excellence in Tanakh, and I guess a love of Eretz Yisrael, and I guess you can guess who it's for. It's for The next is also a tie. It's what we call the Mosman Award, again last year. First goes to Rafi Washa. And the second to Ronnie Ben Yushai.
There were many difficult choices for the awards in science, English, social studies, and math, and I had to rely upon the advice of my colleagues in the secular studies department. And 4 young men excelled in all these areas. For excellence in the study of the sciences, Eli Gantra. By Abraham Yaakov Finkel. Now, for excellence in the study of English literature, Shlomo Schwarzbach. By the American Heritage. Now, for excellence in the study of social studies, Brian Gluck. Given Brian, lend me your ears, Great Speeches in History by William Safire. In the study of mathematics, Chester. And we're giving Jesse The Wisdom in the Hebrew Alphabet by Rabbi Michael.
I want to wish Mazel Tov to all the parents and the grandparents that are here this evening. And I'm honored to be asked to present a few awards. Before I do that, if you don't mind, I'd like to Mazel Tov to the entire senior class. I also want to thank you. This was an opportunity for me I never had before. In the past, this is my 3rd time that I've organized the senior class trip, but it's the first time that I actually got to go on the trip. And I had a wonderful time. I want to thank you for taking me. I was truly impressed by the achdus that the class showed on the trip. It was really tremendous. It was a Kiddush Hashem wherever we went. People complimented us. But I really want to thank you for another reason, and that is that after this trip, any time that I ever had to watch a movie is totally now. Thank you very much. I'd like to present is the Dr. Howie Gutterman Memorial Chesed Award. Dr. Gutterman, all of us shalom, was a parent of one of the, actually now 2 of the students of the Mesivta. He was a physician, was known for his chesed, and this award goes to an individual who really single-handedly organized the chesed program. I had the opportunity to spend every Monday evening with the JEP program. For the last 2 years we had it at an outside location, and last year it started in our own at the Mesivta itself. And every Monday night it would be interesting to come down and see some of our students learning with young students who are not necessarily affiliated with Judaism, wanting to learn, teaching them how to read Hebrew, conducting a model Seder, Hanukkah party, etc. And this program was actually single-handedly spearheaded by this individual. It's my pleasure to call upon Benjamin Weiss. The next award is the Keser Shem Tov Award. This is given by the Torah Communications Network, which, as you all know, sponsors the Dial Daf Yomi. This award is for outstanding character, midos, and service. And it's my pleasure to present it to Effie Nissenfeld. You've all heard already of Effie's outstanding academic achievements, but so far as this lesson, I can give you one example. If you ever need express artwork in less than an hour done, after he will do this. Okay, the next award is for extraordinary achievements in spearheading and organizing charity drives, known as the Tzedakah Award. And I'm sure you all know that when you see Moshe Greenberg walking down the halls, you have to check your pockets. He's very good at getting us all to give tzedakah. I don't remember the amount, I believe it was $11,000 this year that we raised, all because of him. Of course, fittingly, this award is a nice, beautiful, decorative pushka. It's my pleasure to present the next award to the Osek B'Tzarchei Tzibur Award, and this is Be'emunah. This is for outstanding leadership and direction in tefillah, and it's my pleasure to present this award. And this individual, by the way, not only shows his chesed by being an outstanding gabbai, but I want you to know that in the years that we've run Shabbaton, I want you to know that single-handedly this individual helped me to the degree where without him it would have been a lot more work. I want to call upon Craig Sullivan. Anyway, this award is a Gabbai's handbook. Okay, the last award, which I'm privileged to present, is a new award. This award actually is not being given to present seniors, it's being given to entering seniors. This is a Toby Weiner Memorial Scholarship. This award has been set up by people who view Mr. Weiner as his mentor, their mentors, alumni, and this award is in memory of Mrs. Weiner, Aleha HaShalom, who an individual who I had the opportunity and the pleasure to spend many quality hours with when I was an adolescent myself. This award is for an outstanding scholar athlete who shows exemplary midos. And in giving this award for the first time, the committee met, and actually there was a tie. It's being given to two entering seniors who are athletes that also exemplify proper midos. And we're giving this award to Daniel Fruchter and Yoni Wazel. The award, which will not be given at this particular moment, consists of a $1,000 scholarship, Svarim, as well as Knicks tickets. So this award has a little of everything. Obviously, this award is being shared. I don't know how they're going to share the seat at the Knicks game, but I'll work that out. Two tickets? And while I'm here, I want to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Weiner, who was on the faculty.
Thank you for those words of inspiration.
Well, wait a minute, though. It looks like there's been a couple of awards that have been overlooked.
We'd like to acknowledge this year the guy who's had the most Rambam in Rambam history in a 4-year period award, which happens to be 8, shattering the old record of 5. Jonathan Rosenberg.
And now, in appreciation of all the hard work and devotion that he has shown chasing and persecuting Nazis, we'd like to present Rabbi Friedman with this Costa Rican flag. for two to Costa Rica. Our winners will be flying on Laxa Airlines, and they'll be staying in a nice, cozy hotel.
Mel, I wonder how they choose valedictorian.
Well, obviously they have standards. You have to be a good student, demonstrate good leadership skills, and first you got to be a true Ben Torah.
So then why don't we call upon a guy who, when he's not busy chatting with girls on AOL or shooting hoops in the backyard, he manages to squeeze a few minutes in to learn and do some study.
So without any further ado, we'd like to call upon this year's valedictorian, coming all the way from Great Neck, New York, Ephraim Palko.
Not true about the basketball.
Rabbi Friedman, Mr. Schechter, Rebbeim, faculty, fellow graduates, family, and friends. Tonight I want to share with you one of the most important messages that I have received over my 4 years of study at Rambam. I hope that you will find this message as meaningful as I have. This Shabbos we will be reading the double parsha of Chukas Balak. In Parshas Balak, Balak, the king of Moab, sends messengers to the evil prophet Bilam, asking him to curse the Jewish people. Throughout the parsha, Bilam's futile attempts to curse Hashem's chosen nation end up in blessing. As is stated in Perek Chof Beis Pasuk Hey, Vayishlach Malachim el Bilam ben Beor. He sent messengers to Bilam, son of Beor. The question arises: why did Hashem give the power of Nevuah to a non-Jew? Rashi on this pasuk asks this very question. Mipnei ma hishra Kadosh Baruch Hu shchinaso al goy rasha. He answers, Kidei shelo yehe pischon pela umos, lomar ilu hayu lanu neviim, chazarnu lamutav. Having lahem neviim, vehem partzu geder ha'olam. Why did Hashem rest His Shechina on a wicked non-Jew? So that the non-Jewish nations should not have an excuse by saying, were we to have had prophets, we would have repented. Hashem established prophets for them, yet they fell short of the ideal. One can still ask, explains Rabbi Aharon Bakst Zatzal in his Sefer Lev Aharon, how would this solve the claim of the non-Jews? Bilam was a complete Rasha, and the non-Jews could still claim that had they been given a Navi as righteous as Moshe, they would have repented. What good does it do to give the non-Jews a wicked Navi? In order to answer this question, explains Rabbi Bakst, one must carefully analyze, it's an important word in Rambam, the character differences between Moshe, the Navi of the Jewish people, and Bilam, the Navi of the non-Jews. In reality, Moshe and Bilam both started out with the same potential to be righteous Nevi'ei Hashem. As Chazal teach us, V'lo kama b'Yisrael Navi k'Moshe, aval be'umos ha'olam kam, umihu Bilam. And no prophet as great as Moshe ever arose among Yisrael. But among the nations of the world, one did arise. And who was he? Bilam. The great mistake that Bilam, as well as the rest of the nations of the world, made was in their recognition of Torah. Non-Jews see Torah solely as a rule book, a set of regulations by which we must play the game of life. In contrast, we see Torah as not only a rule book, but as a system of life that can impact on the innermost spiritual soul of a person, and that can help bring a person to that elusive state of character perfection. It was this very misconception of Torah that led Bilam and the nations of the world astray. In viewing Torah as a set of rules and regulations, they substituted its study and application with the study and application of man-made laws and man-made theories in science and other wisdoms of the world. They felt that the study and application of these wisdoms would bring them to the same level of perfection that the study of Torah would. The only other component that they felt was necessary was a leader, one who could link up directly with God, a prophet. By giving them Bilam and letting his human passions and desires get the best of him, Hashem was telling the nations of the world that a leader and a direct link to God is not enough. To begin the journey to perfection, one must abide by the system given to us by Hashem, and through it perfect our character and soul. Rambam Mesivta afforded us many opportunities to grow, both physically and spiritually. They offered extracurricular activities, such as basketball and mock trial, to keep us busy after hours. They taught us the value of a high-level secular education and its importance in the modern world. Most importantly, the Rebbeim and Hanhala of Rambam Mesivta taught us the proper approach to Torah, the key to living as a Torah Jew. They taught us that in order to reach spiritual perfection, this ingredient, Torah, is required in the recipe of life. Not the set of rules and regulations that the non-Jews see, but rather the system of halacha that can reach the recesses of one's spiritual being and can bring one's soul closer to the Ribono Shel Olam. It is this recognition and application that set Moshe Rabbeinu apart from Bilam and that set Bnei Yisrael apart from the nations of the world. This is the message that I would like to impart to my fellow graduates and their guests at this simcha, most probably the last time that we will all be together as a class. Unfortunately, this non-Jewish view of Torah as a cold, hard set of rules for us to follow has seeped into the Jewish community. The true perspective is not easy to recognize and is even harder to incorporate into our lives. What we need to do is take this message that Rambam has taught us and bring it into our communities. We must share with others that which we have gained from our years at Rambam, that true perspective of Torah that our Rebbeim have imbued within us. This is the Torah that can turn people on to Yiddishkeit. Alright, Yadus. It is with this perspective that we can truly begin on the road to perfection, following the footsteps of Moshe Rabbeinu, and fulfill our role as the Am HaNivchar. I would like to thank first and foremost HaKadosh Baruch Hu for giving me the ability and motivation to succeed in my studies. I would also like to thank my teachers and Rebbeim for providing me with a high-level education in both secular studies as well as Limudei Kodesh. Rabbi Friedman and Mr. Schechter have done so much for me that it would be impossible to express the level of my gratitude. A special welcome back and thank you to Dr. Katz, who had a tremendous impact on me personally, and I know on my classmates as well. Many thanks are also due to all of my friends who have made these 4 years at Rambam so enjoyable. Acharon Chaviv, I would like to thank my parents and family for all of their support and encouragement. I would not have been able to accomplish anything without you. Thank you and Mazel Tov. Before the program continues, I would like to briefly deviate from the schedule. This year in Rabbi Saffer's 11th and 12th grade afternoon-based medrash, we learned the various sugyos and shots. We had the opportunity to present some of these sugyos in a sefer that we published entitled Chidushei Kolos Uvrakim. This year we decided to dedicate the sefer to our Rosh HaMesivta, Rabbi Friedman, in gratitude of all that he does for the yeshiva and its talmidim. This yeshiva is his life, and we thank him for making it part of ours. On behalf of Aryeh Dienstag and Effie Nissenfeld, my co-editors, and the rest of the base medrash, I would like to call upon our Rosh HaMesivta, Rabbi Zev Meir Friedman, to come and accept a copy of Chidushei Kolos Uvrakim. The dedication page reads, "This sefer is dedicated to our beloved Rosh HaMesivta, Rabbi Zev Meir Friedman Shlita, who has taught us what it means to be a Ben Torah with both Ahavas Torah and Mesirus Nefesh. He is one who always finds time to help his Talmidim and is the epitome of a true Rebbe." Thank you and Mazel Tov.
Thank you, and hopefully have something to do in Costa Rica.
Thank you for those words of inspiration.
As Ryan already mentioned, the entire graduating class would like to especially acknowledge the presence of our principal for the first 3 years of our high school, to whom we are also dedicating this year's yearbook, Dr. Gary Katz.
Hey, so you remember back in 8th grade when we were applying to get into Rambam?
Yeah, we had that open house with a little Snapple and donuts.
That's true, but maybe something a little bit more significant.
Didn't they have Danishes also?
Well, first of all, no, they didn't. Second of all, I was referring to the BJEs.
Oh yeah, we took that test, right?
That's the one, that's the test. And now, the very people that brought us the award-winning BJEs BJE high school examination exam in 8th grade are now giving us awards in 12th grade. Go figure. So without any further ado, I'd like to call upon our student representative to deliver the BJ Knopfler Award. He's coming all the way from Cornell University. Thank you, guys.
The class of '99 has been involved in many activities for the Jewish community. Most notably, our class has aligned itself with organizations such as NCSY and JEP, running programs in Jewish education, as well as doing Bikur Cholim and Achmavil and bringing Nazi war criminals to justice. Our commitment to such activities has made a great impact on Rambam and on the Jewish community as a whole. Each and every activity required a leader or coordinator in order for it to be successful. These leaders had to put in significant time and effort to ensure a successful venture. Tonight, the UJA Federation of New York would like to honor 8 of these young men with its prestigious Nachshon Award for leadership and dedication to the Jewish community. Each certificate is accompanied by a letter which reads as follows. On behalf of the UJA Federation of New York, I would like to congratulate you on receiving the Board of Jewish Education Nachshon Award. UJA Federation recognizes your commitment to Jewish values. We applaud your leadership skills and your dedication to the Jewish community. Your significant contributions to the welfare of the Jewish community serve as an example for promoting Jewish identity development. The accomplishments of Jewish students like yourself will help to ensure Jewish continuity for the future. Yasher Kohen. I would now like to call up each of these young men to receive their award. Josh Berkowitz. Aryeh Dienstag. Moshe Greenberg. Effie Nissenfeld. Daniel Siegel. Craig Smolovitz. Adam Steiner. And finally, Ellie Stieglitz. Oh, and Rabbi Friedman has some more.
Far bench. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for those words of inspiration.
Moving right along, we'd like to call upon a man who, although we've never really met him, he's had profound influence on our lives.
Without any further ado, we'd like to call upon the school president coming all the way from West Hempstead, New York, Dr. Zevi Yisro.
Thank you for that inspiring introduction. Mazel Tov graduates, class of 1999 Rambam Mesivta. I know I speak for each and every member of our board in expressing our utmost hakaras hatov. First of all, to Reb Zev Meir Friedman, our Rosh Mesivta, Mr. Jay Schachter, our principal, our administrative staff, our office staff, our Rabbeim and secular teachers, for all of your collective kaiches in producing a product as beautiful as this year's graduating class. The Mesivta has been in existence for 8 years, and during these years, we've always achieved great Regents, SAT, and AP scores. This year, however, the scores have exceeded our wildest expectations. School-wide, over 50% of our student body have achieved a 90 or higher on the Regents scores. Our current 9th grade did even better. 50% of the grade achieved a 95 or higher in the science Regents. I would like to publicly acknowledge the efforts of Mr. Jay Schachter, our principal, in achieving these great results. Jay, I know you promised me that next year will be better, but I know that these results are pretty hard to top. entrusting us with your most precious possessions, your sons. We are certain that you are pleased with the growth over these past 4 years. And to our next generation of Rosh Yeshiva, doctors, lawyers, Balei Batim, and all-around great Menschlicha guys, Mazel Tov, Hatzlacha in all of your pursuits, and remember, we'll see you back in 2 years in the brand new Rambam based Medrash.
Thank you for those words of inspiration.
More about that base Medrash. Anyway, although we've only had the pleasure of spending 1 year with him, so Shefter has taught us a lot about getting the minyan
Getting that shirt in there.
and taking attendance in every single class.
Jake, how are you?
Coming all the way from Sarah J. Hale and staying until midnight most nights, it's my distinct pleasure to call upon our principal, Mr. Jay Shefter.
That's some reception. Some ride. Our revered Rabbi Friedman, Rosh Mesivta, distinguished President of the Mesivta, Dr. Zevi Yisserov, our parents, guests, my colleagues, and of course, the wonderful class of 1999, the last class in this century. They are the heroes. I've had the privilege of, this is my 5th commencement address as a principal, of addressing a different type of audience in the past. But Baruch Hashem, this is the first time I've had a chance to address young men who are not only Balei Torah, Balei Mitos, but members of Klal Yisrael. And to me, it's a great honor and privilege. They say commencement is the beginning. And I guess after tonight, you'll pursue Limudei Torah B'Eretz Yisrael, Limudei Chol, college, grad school, and your whole life is in front of you. But we're here tonight to celebrate these 38 outstanding individuals who I got to know this year. You made my life very interesting, and I got to say. But I could say that you are the future leaders and will carry the torch of leadership of the Jewish people into the next millennium. You are the future of Klal Yisrael. In this week's Parsha, we read about the death of Aaron, Kohen Gadol Yisrael. But Aaron was a Hohev Shalom and a Rotev Shalom. And you know, immediately following his death, there was a Milchama, a Nechashim, another Milchama. And believe me, if there's a lesson in this century of what's happened to our people, from the depths, as most of you studied in your Holocaust Studies class, to the plains of Silesia and Auschwitz, to the complete redemption and the establishment of the state of Israel in our lifetime, and that we have Yerushalayim and will continue to have Yerushalayim for the next millennium. You must emulate Aaron HaKohen in the next century, because it cannot be filled with what happened in this century. Great technological advances, but a century that there is a lot of rivers of blood in this century. You must lead us, you must lead our people, you must lead us in Eretz Yisrael so that we will have true shalom in the entire land of Eretz Yisrael. I've learned this year that the Rambam Mesivta is the best. It really is. Not only excellence in Torah, but excellence in secular studies. And Baruch Hashem this year, the results speak for themselves. I think we are number one, not only in the metropolitan area, but maybe in the entire state of New York. And that's due to your efforts and the efforts of the entire student body and faculty of the Rambam Mesivta. They all deserve a rounding of applause. But there is more. A few years ago, a man named David Gerard wrote to the New York Times that in the late 90s, there's a vacuum in America. We lack heroes. And he mentioned all the heroes. I don't think there's a vacuum. These young people are the heroes, and these young people are the future, and these young people are going to lead us. Because they've demonstrated that already in their 4 years at Rambam. Not only in the excellence in Limudei Torah, but not only also in academic performance, acts of chesed, but most important, what I told them from the first day. It's whatever achievement you have in life, you should always be known as someone with a leiv tov and a shem tov. And Baruch Hashem, these young people have a leiv tov and a shem tov, and I am so proud of them. Congratulations, Hatzlacha Rabbah, and go into the future with confidence and lead us. Thank you.
Who wants to guess what's next?
Well,
I'll give you a hint. Thank you for those words of inspiration.
And now the moment we've all been waiting for. Will Rabbi Friedman, Mr. Schechter, and Dr. Isserov please come up and present us with our diplomas?
Or, as some like to say, they're going to perform a diploma implant.
What?
Diploma implant. Did you read that letter that the school sent them about senioritis and cutting classes and how they're going to perform a diplomectomy?
After all my milk, Mom, I'm away from my
Whatever, let's just go.
Elliot Adler.
He served as the special delivery boy from Toddy's for the office staff. He's also known as the Tish Man, one of the wonderful comedians. Wish him a lot of luck here at Toronto.
Ronnie Benny Shai.
Wondered why Ronnie was late. He was late today too, if you noticed. But then I found out that, quite frankly, he's learning most of the time seriously, and that's the reason he's late, because he's up late learning. So keep up the good work, and have a great year in Israel.
Warren Bendeley.
Hyper man of the senior class, and rumor has it he has a necklace picked out for his collar to be. There was a diplomectomy performed, and we'll have the outbreak.
Kenny Bird.
Kenny's a wonderful Balmitos. He actually gets the Bell Rock Taxi Award this year. We're also giving him $11 to come back by taxi to visit us at Rambam.
All right, a young man who sees me going to the shoe store, Michael Burko.
He is called Big Red by the guys. I think he's in competition with the Rambam van service, and sometimes he even gets there before our vans. Sometimes.
Our next diploma of Rambam Brown.
Rami is a big Baal Chesed, always concerned about others, and as long as he's helping out on the Jewish Issues Club, no Nazi is safe in the United States.
Someone whom I know very well. The next diploma goes to Yair Dar.
Yair really is the sports maven at the Rambam, someone that runs the Gabois in the Minyan both in and out of shul, and we wish him a lot of luck next year.
Next diploma goes to Aryeh Dienstag.
I ain't one of those guys that does it all. Chesed, learning, he charges up the golf cart for Rough Elevation every Tuesday night, and really a tremendous comment in Rambam.
Our next diploma to our science awardee, Elimelech Antrell.
Ellie is the official chef of the class of '99. I understand Libby's waiting for one of the recipes for dinner, and wish him a lot of luck in KB Wining.
Our next awardee, our next diploma goes to our social studies awardee, Brian Gluck.
Also known as Mordechai and Shear. Tremendous learner, tremendous Omidos, and a tremendous Mets fan.
Of course, our next diploma goes to a fine young man who I got to know almost every day. Our MC, one of our co-MCs, Mike Greenberg.
We have to keep the program moving tonight because Moshe has a flight tonight in about an hour. And there is mail waiting for you in the office. Lots of luck next year.
Our next diploma goes to Aaron Gutman.
Expression of Kat Shmohu, a good man. He's really a fine young man, a real asset that joined us, and a pleasure to have you.
My next diploma goes to someone who welcomed me the first day, so you're Mr. Schechter. Who I got to know very well, too. My next diploma goes to Josh Jacob Heller.
Actually, Josh made a request and he'll get his wish not to get his diploma. So then come back and play on the championship teams next year.
Our next diploma goes to our math awardee and the #1 Knick fan, Jesse Hirsch.
Actually known as Mordechai Zelig and Shear, and now we can't wait to have a Shear in Brit next year in Eretz Yisrael, and lots of fun stuff.
Next diploma goes to someone who always asks me a lot of questions and gives some solid advice. Fine young man, David Michaels.
Rumor has it he's going to be spending half the year learning and half the year serving on a cabinet post next year in Eretz Yisrael.
next diploma goes to someone who I know very well, even when he was this high, in the Young Israel of Flatbush. Uri Munn.
Uri is always willing to volunteer on the art club, helping make posters for the Israel Day Parade, and sometimes even at the expense of class fund.
Now, our next diploma, I know came from the time before he was born almost. That's right. There's a little boy in a playpen at East Pond. Jay Nathanson.
My young man, ball player, just moved to the neighborhood of North Israel, but
our next diploma goes to our outstanding scholar, young man, our co-salutatorian, Effie Mesivta.
as Rabbi Har mentioned, he's the resident artist, but what that really means, I just want to take a brief second, is many, many times over the course of the year we would have someone that wasn't well, or perhaps someone was a base Abel, and Effie always made up the card literally. Had a split second that the whole yeshiva signed, and we were able to bring over to the house to give the person chizuk. An all-around individual that really contributed a lot to Mesivta, Yeshivayach, and great heritage.
My next diploma goes to someone who, at my age, I admire his Lamdos scholarship and a coruscant to everyone. Valedictorian Ephraim Polk.
As you well know, an outstanding young man who's respected and loved by all, and really a tremendous asset to Mesivta, and I'm sure to Klal Yisrael in future years.
My next diploma goes to a young man who likes hockey. I know his family very well. Jonathan Rosen.
Again, a fine young man, great hockey player, a lot of luck in
And now our next diploma goes to the captain of the Rambam Raven hockey team. The one who came to me with Josh Hell and says, let's change the name of the team. And carried us all the way to those finals 11 seconds. Fine young man, Mikey Rosenberg.
Captain Mikey, top guy in hockey, always has a smile on his face, wonderful Balminos.
Our next diploma goes to someone who might seem quiet, but is a big Bale Chesed, Bale Mitos, Yerachmiel Rosenberg.
Affectionately known as Rocky by the boys, and Cookie Monster by Living and Naomi.
Our next diploma goes to someone who also greeted me the first day. How do you like it here? Well, now I can answer that question in the affirmative. Chaim Rubin.
One of our all-star hockey players, basketball players, and rumor has it he hasn't missed a Met home game yet this year.
My next diploma goes to someone who always has a smile on his face. I don't have to tell him to tuck in his shirt, has his shoes, everything you need. Outstanding MC and a wonderful young man, Doe Sassoon.
And wonderful Balmitos. Real pleasure to have. Helped out a lot with the breakfast program. Whenever I think something needs to be organized, I was always there.
Our next diploma goes to someone who's involved in many activities, but there's one anecdote. On a day when we had the Rambam debate tournament, this young man was really ill. He came in and he helped lead the tournament, the team, to a tie for first place. Joseph Schenker.
Joseph was also the winner of the coveted Grus Award and was an integral part of Rambam's all-star mock trial team.
Where's Jake? A young man who I got to know well, who can really excel, and I know that he will be very successful. Jake Schindelheim.
You were one of Mr. Schefter's favorites, no question about it. And naturally, we spent a lot of quality time together. Very sincere young man. Wishing a lot of luck in the future.
Our next diploma goes to our English awardee, and one who can cover a 900-page book in 3 hours, has read it all, an outstanding scholar, Shlomo Schwartz.
For Shlomo, 800 is not a toll-free number. It's a score in his SATs.
Our next diploma goes to a fine young man who, in the first weeks, introduced himself to me, always had an encouraging word. Our co-salutatorian, Lady Siegel.
He's a super young man. He came to us actually from Cheder, if I recall, from Boston, so from Cheder to Rambam. And Mila should keep on having lots of fun and learning and American show.
Our next awardee, resident computer expert, national merit finalist, and the individual who excels, Daniel Siegel.
Just found out from living at one bus company on the side in the office, and he knows all the bus routes in Queens, and that's when he's not doing the Hamasman, which was the weekly Torah publication from Mississippi. I should come in.
My next diploma goes to someone who dedicated hundreds of hours to ensure that the 1999 yearbook comes out on time. Greg Smugs.
Craig is always there to help and volunteers, and yes, Craig is Gabbai, and he'll be a tremendous asset to Claudius Rob.
Our next diploma goes, of course, to our Chazan, #1 Met fan, and one who always has something cheerful to say. How you doing, Mr. Schechter? No? No.
This year, he's going to be the top pitcher, but I just want to tell him sorry, there's no caps and gowns at graduation.
Our next diploma goes to someone, a fine young man who came to me the very first day after orientation and said, here's the plan to get the yearbook out on time. And he gave 10 different names. Gave us the blueprint. He also was the captain of our debate team, and Rambam was the first non-Manhattan school to ever win the Ramaz tournament. He organized many of the other events. Adam Stein.
Adam has burned down 3 fax machines in the office with all of the faxes he gets on the debate team. He's also known as the computer whiz, and has a good life ahead of him in terms of computers.
Our next diploma goes to someone who introduced himself to me during the summer. Can I see my program? Of course, this is August 21st. He was a former president of the student government. He gave me a lot of tips how to deal with them. And of course, is a future U.S. Open champion, Ellie Stiglitz.
Ellie really was the youngest at that time, the youngest president of the school. And a lot of very Dr. Israel for a competition coming up, and introduced color war to the school, and I understand has a career planned as a day trader.
Our next diploma goes to someone who's multi-talented, from hockey to excellence in academics, interested in the Boston area. Maybe he likes the Red Sox. Daniel Vinnick.
Fine young man with lots of potential. I'm sure we're going to see great things from Daniel.
Our next diploma goes to someone who might be quiet, but plugs away, studies, achieves, and I know is going to be an outstanding leader of class. Rafi Waksha.
Rafi also wins the Best Dressed Student Award. Mine Rafi else, terrific master.
Our next diploma goes to someone who I know from the time he was very small too in the Israel Flatbush. He also spent thousands of hours to ensure that the yearbook came out on time as a master plan for us for college admissions. He's going to Big Red, and I was honored to make that call at that time. He's going to be quite successful. Benji Weiss.
Jeff Krogan that you heard so much about. I'm sure he's going to be doing a lot of computer work on campus at Cornell, and will be a real asset to the college.
Our next diploma goes to someone who I know quite well. We spent Pesach together, right? No, that wasn't. Make sure he was there on time. A fine young man, Ari Zidanovic.
I have to be a very, very bright young man with a very good head under that big yarmulke that he usually wears. And I want to wish him a lot of love.
envelope. I'd like to call up Warren Bendelee.
Thank you for those very inspirational diplomas.
We have to give the award to the person who got the most awards award, which goes to Effie Mesivta. Also, the night would be complete without making a special mention to three special ladies who made our lives as Rambam students run so smoothly, and they always do with a smile.
Unfortunately, Naomi had to go to her own son's graduation tonight, so all will be calling up is Libby and Judy to accept a small token of appreciation from the graduating class of 1999.
Thank you, presented to Libby, Naomi, and Judy in grateful recognition for all that they have done for us, the Mesivta and Klal Yisrael. May you all continue to be a source of inspiration for Rambam community for many years to come. We'll miss you from the class of 1999. Accepting the award for Naomi tonight, will Mr. Phillips please come up? Please wait until after the recessional, at which point we'd like to ask everybody to join us immediately downstairs because we're going to have moderate and a reception.
Rabbi Freeman has asked me to announce as a reminder to all the graduates who are going to Israel, please stop by his office, have your bags checked. We don't really think you'll cause any problems at the borders, but we just want to, for your own protection, so stop by, thank you.
On behalf of myself, Dov, and the entire graduating class, I'd like to say thank you and have a good night.